What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Importance Flashback Reviews, where we take movies from our past, break them down, and tell you what we think about them. As always, if you like what you see, remember to rate, subscribe, check out the YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitter. Email andlepolo113@gmail.com if you have any questions. Alright, so we still continue our quest for Avengers Endgame. We just ended Phase 1, which was with the Avengers. Now we go into Phase 2 with Iron Man 3. And Iron Man 3 is an interesting movie, to say the least. It's directed by Shane Black, also written by Drew Pearce and Shane Black. And it's a movie about PTSD. It's a movie about drug abuse. It's a movie about trying to move on from the past and trying to create a better future. And it brings back Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, of course, because he's in every one of these Marvel movies up to Avengers Endgame at least. It brings back Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. It brings back Don Cheadle as Rhodey, and introduces a whole band of new characters. You know, we have Ben Kingsley, who's playing the Mandarin. Guy Pearce is playing Aldrich Killian. We have Rebecca Hall, who plays Maya. James Badgedale, who plays Savin. And of course, we have Jon Faverau, who's come back as Happy. He's not directing this time, which is kind of interesting. But at least he was cool enough to come back and play that character in the small amount of parts that he had for the role. And then, of course, we have Ty Simpkins, who plays like the younger version of Tony Stark, who is kind of a genius on building things. And so this basically is a story about Tony Stark, who is still trying to move on from his past. He is done things that have screwed people over, that have, created, enemies. Guy Pearce, who plays Aldrich Killian, was a guy that was really respected Tony. He wanted to get him involved with this thing called AIM, which later on you find out is like a bad thing. And he screws Guy Pearce's character over. Well, he also meets a person played by Rebecca Hall, who plays Maya. They form kind of a relationship, an early relationship, kind of, if you think about it. And she's creating a way for things to regrow itself. It's what the extremist thing is going to end up becoming. And he leaves her, and creates issues, and she ends up going to work for Guy Pearce, all that good stuff. And it's about a movie about, it takes place several months, maybe a year at the most, after the Battle of New York. Tony Stark is, still battling demons of when he almost died, sending the nuke to the Chitauri. And it's just a story about how he has to recover from that issues. He's always building all these Iron Man suit armors. He's up to Mark 42, so he's been busy for the last few months. It's affecting his relationship with Pepper Potts, and he can't get past it. There's scenes where they're in bed, and one of the Iron Man suits almost attacks and hurts Pepper Potts because he's having a nightmare about the Battle of New York. And like he says, he can't sleep, he can't drink, he can't eat, he just can't do anything because it bothers him so much. And this is an interesting take on how to take Iron Man to a different level. You had the demon, the bottle demon or whatever segment where he had alcoholism issues. And that was interesting. It gives Tony Stark kind of like a level of depth that you don't really see in comic book movies. We got a little bit of that with, Bruce Wayne and the Nolan trilogy, but it's interesting to see Marvel willing to go this dark with a character that's actually well lighthearted and well, respected for what he does. But like I said, the past comes up and bites you in the ass. That's what this movie's about, and he has to reconcile with his past. With Aldrich Killian is now this prominent businessman who has this idea, basically manipulating everything. He's gotten this person called the Mandarin, or at least you think it's the Mandarin, who's played by Ben Kingsley, and they're blowing up a bunch of places. They're doing a bunch of terrorist acts, and it's just a front to kind of seize control. It's kind of like a bigger version of what Sam Rockwell's character was doing in Iron Man 2, but more on a successful, more disturbing level. And so, just throughout the story, Rhodey is now the Iron Patriot. He has the, I think it's like the Mark II armor or something like that, or Mark I. I can't remember which armor it is. And he's now going around the world protecting people. And, you have Pepper Potts running, Stark Industries, and Tony Stark's having his issues. And Jon Favreau's Happy is taking care of Pepper Potts. And then, you have the Mandarin issue. And this is, like I said before, this movie is really interesting in the fact that when they got Shane Black to direct this movie, I was super excited because I love Shane Black. I think he's a great writer. And I think what he's doing in this movie is very interesting. It's very bold. It's very, very dark for a Marvel movie, and Marvel movies get really dark, and there's a lot of violence in this movie. There's a lot of people getting killed. The way that people are getting killed is really interesting and really deep and dark. And this is the kind of stuff Shane Black is known for. There's a lot of his irreverent humor, a lot of his dark humor. There's a lot of the way he shoots, the way he positions things. It's just interesting to see how he's playing with this world because, he's given a bigger budget than he's ever had in his entire life. I mean, he worked on with Robert Downey Jr. on his Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is a very low budget movie, and afterwards he worked on The Nice Guys and then The Predator. And given $200 million, it's interesting the world he's created, but it's not without its faults or without its stumbles. The main bad guys and villains are actually not great. Alder Killian is an interesting character at first, but then he turns into like a typical Sam Rockwell bad guy where he's just wants power and he wants to, make money and he wants to make Tony Stark pay. And it's just ridiculous. And then he calls himself the Mandarin, which is not really true. And I don't like what Guy Pearce is doing here. I love Guy Pearce. I think Guy Pearce had an amazing run from like 2000 to 2010 or something like that, with just some of the stuff he was working on Memento and The Proposition and stuff like that. But I just don't think his character works here. I think it's over the top and weird and angsty, and it's just like, you got screwed over with Tony Stark. Is he that really that bad? You actually became a successful businessman. Why do you care what Tony Stark does? And it's because Tony Stark's Iron Man, and he wants the Iron Man suit. I guess I don't know. It's really weird, but I think the biggest flaw is that you have a character like the Mandarin, and you have Ben Kingsley playing the Mandarin, and you use him in like an effective way as a terrorist. And this is really powerful stuff, especially in a Marvel movie. And then you turn him into a actor, Trevor Slattery, and you make him a bumbling idiot. You make him a doofus, a guy who's like a debauchery. There's a lot of like weird debauchery stuff going on in this movie, like a mansion. And I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. And it feels like, he wanted to F with the audience, I guess is what I think. But the fact that, Trevor Slattery or the Mandarin killed someone, it's very weird and very off-putting that they made him to an actor, and it's not as bad as it was when I first saw it. You kind of accept it, but if they had made Ben Kingsley the Mandarin of the Ten Rings, I think that could have been a really interesting story arc that maybe they could have played out into another movie if they ever did another one with Robert Downey Jr. But like everything in the Marvel universe up to it's up to this point and later on, stuff just gets laid to waste, and you never see who the real Mandarin is, and it's just I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't think it was great. I don't know if Shane Black just didn't know how to handle a villain of this scope, but it just doesn't work. But like I said, William Sadler, Miguel Ferrer, rest in peace. They play the vice president and president, and they're pretty wonderful as those characters and the small bit parts in it. And the mood and the tension does work in this movie, and it's a lot better than I remember. Shane Black does definitely have a great action sense to him, which you see, like I said, in The Nice Guys. But it feels like a misstep for Shane Black because, there's points where he's calling the kid a pussy. Well, I mean, that's really off-putting. But the emotional arc that he has with the kid, who's played by Ty Simpkins, is actually quite wonderful. But there are some like really cool visuals here. The battle of Tony's house where they're blowing his house down is really cool because Pepper Potts gets to wear the suit, and then the stuff in the house when he's trying to, when he's being captured, Tony's captured, and his suit of armor is like trying to like piece himself together because it's stuck in Ty Simpkins' garage. I thought that was cool. I thought some of that battle stuff was cool. And like the very end with all the Iron Man suits of armors that are when they're wrapped around the warehouse scene, which is very similar to Lethal Weapon 2, if you think about it. That's very cool. I thought that stuff was really cool. It doesn't really amount to much. All the Iron Man suits that they've been building up in the promotion art, they don't really get explained here. I mean, yeah, you see the early Hulkbuster outfit, but it doesn't really mean up to anything. But there's some cool stuff like the when Air Force One gets, when all the people are, shoot out of the Air Force One, and Tony Stark has to rescue all of them. That's a really cool scene. There's some really good stuff in here. I don't know. It just doesn't feel Like I said before, really whole, really as unique as the first Iron Man was. But it's definitely an improvement over Iron Man 2. So that's all you want. That's all you need. It was very successful. It was the building block to a much bigger universe after Avengers. This movie is much bigger, much bolder, much more intense. And you see that with the upcoming Thor: The Dark World and then the Winter Soldier. And it's interesting to see the MCU really taking foot on really what it's going to become. So it's, like I said, Iron Man 3 is still an enjoyable movie. It just has a villain problem, like I said before. So, but that's it. That's my take on Iron Man 3. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you like what you see, remember to rate, subscribe, check out the YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitter. Email nlapolo113@gmail.com if you have any questions. So, tell me what you think of Iron Man 3. Do you like it better now that you've given some time since it came out? Do you still not like it? I'd be interested to know. But otherwise, we'll see you on the next video. Peace.